Coming up on the Inside Indiana Business Television podcast, Frankfort focuses on quality of life. We spotlight the controversy over the I-65-70 split. The statewide tour aims to help create a healthier Indiana. The first piece of an $80 million Brownsburg development is open. A youth golf program continues to grow. Trendiana puts a spotlight on French cuisine. And our panel of insiders takes on the week's top stories. Welcome to the Inside Indiana Business Television podcast. I'm Andy Ober. Frankfort Mayor Chris McBarnes says he wants to create a model for rural communities focused on downtown living by creating a quality of place that will attract top talent. One example, the recently opened $7 million Nickel Plate Flats apartment complex. McBarnes joined Inside Indiana Business host Gary Dick to talk about the effort.
Before we get to a lot happening in Frankfort, the challenges facing rural Indiana and smaller towns. There's a lot good happening around the state, but in a lot of small towns, it's a struggle. What are the challenges facing small town Indiana?
I think one of the biggest challenges our state has in front of us is to attract a workforce full of top talent. In order to drive jobs to Indiana, we need to drive the workers. Now, small town renaissance is possible. The transformation is possible. But you must have sound leadership. You must have city and county leaders working together, focusing on quality of place. That quality of place will attract that top-tier talent that it will take to bring top-tier jobs to rural Indiana.
All right, let's talk about your plan in Frankfort and how it is unfolding. I mentioned Nickel Plate Flats. It's a $7 million apartment complex with amenities like electric vehicle parking, charging stations. It's a unique development.
People thought we were crazy when we first brought this idea to the table. Never in Frankfort. But now we have a brand new $7.2 million luxury apartment complex in our downtown. Out of the 18 or 19 leases that have already been signed, 16 of them, those individuals have never even lived in Frankfort and Clinton County before, which proves the point that if you give young professionals, if you give our young at heart a place to call home, a quaint ambiance, they'll come. If you build it, they will come. And right across the street will be a $4.5 million green space called Prairie Creek Park, one of a kind.
Yeah, you are a big proponent, obviously, of quality of place, of creating a vibe, if you will, in a community that you feel will keep talent, but also attract talent to the community.
Absolutely, and why not start in the downtown? That's the heartbeat. We want to become the next great bedroom community of Indianapolis or Lafayette. We're within a 45-minute driving radius of Indianapolis, 30 of Lafayette, and we're going to get it done in Frankfort.
Let's talk about the economy there. You've got a lot of advanced manufacturing, a lot of long-time employers, Frito-Lay, NHK, ConAgra, to name a few. So you've got an advanced manufacturing base, but a lot of companies in that space are really hungry for talent.
Gary, we are the city that feeds the state, that feeds the world. But what I'm hearing from my plant managers and CEOs are this: Chris, we need bodies. We can't find people to fill the jobs. Again, it's not good enough just to pave roads anymore and put a fire hydrant here and put a police officer there. Rural Indiana, we've got to think outside the box. We have to transform ourselves. We have to invest in quality of place. We've got to create an environment that attracts top talent. That's how we're going to create more jobs and make ourselves sustainable.
Has it been tough to get buy-in?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's been very difficult. And there's still many naysayers out there today, but since Nickel Plate Flats has gone up and people stand on the beautiful rooftop deck, they say, my, I never thought this was possible in Frankfort. It's the dawning of a new era in rural Indiana, and we're proud to help lead this effort. Very quickly,
only 30 seconds left, but what's next? Anything on the agenda?
Well, people say, Chris, you're going to run again. I say, you got to talk to Samantha McBarnes. This is it for me. I've been so honored to serve my community over the past 7 years. I know God will lead me where I want to go, and like I told you, I have resumes at the ready.
Will it be politics or private sector?
I'm open to anything and everything. Wherever God can use me, I'm ready to go.
All right. Chris McBarnes is the mayor in Frankfort, where there is a lot happening, including the Nickel Plate Flats being unveiled this weekend. Mayor, as always, thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
All right.
Still to come, how do we build a healthier Indiana? And a big Brownsburg effort takes a big step forward. But first, with growth comes infrastructure growing pains. INDOT is suggesting 30 bridges and the I-65-I-70 split be replaced with concrete barriers added, but a coalition wants the state to consider alternatives. Indy Chamber Chief Policy Officer Mark Fisher and Sun King Brewing Company President Bob Witt have been active in the process and came in studio with more.
Mark, if you tee this up, the I-65, I-70 split downtown, busiest intersection, right, in the state of Indiana. Enormous amount of traffic daily, but it is deteriorating, 40 plus years old, needs to be replaced.
Absolutely. You know, downtown Indianapolis, as you mentioned, is with 4% of all the jobs in the state, 11% of all the jobs, over $40,000 in the state. It is the economic engine of our city, our region, our state. It succeeds because the employment base and the employers' access to a wide workforce. And that means we are a regional workforce and a regional economy. So we do need to be thinking about the commuter traffic, how we make sure that we get people in and out of downtown. But downtown's not just a central business district anymore. It's seen a lot of reinvestment. A lot of these neighborhoods are coming back after 40 or 50 years when the highways were first put in. And so we need to make sure that whatever the plan is for the North Split and then the system that feeds into the North Split complements the vision of the community and what we want to see for downtown Indianapolis.
Well, let's talk specifically, because the Indiana Department of Transportation has been advocating expanding, adding lanes, right, and adding big concrete barriers downtown. Why is that a problem?
Well, you know, I got to give NDOT credit. They have given serious consideration to alternatives. They've heard from the community that simply expanding to the right-of-way limits, putting up walls and sound barriers, is something that the community has a lot of concern about. Transportation is fundamentally changing with autonomous vehicles. We need to be thinking, this is a once in a generation issue, so we need to be thinking of what transportation is like 20 years down the road, and not just simply static traffic numbers.
Bob, Sun King has a major operation downtown Indianapolis, very close there, obviously. Your concerns, if with this whole idea of adding lanes, expanding that stretch?
Well, you know, we're in competition as every other company is. We're also in competition as a city to get talent, to attract businesses. We are, you know, obviously an employer, so we've got to get our employees in and out, but we're also a destination. So it's important that we have that traffic flow, but we need to keep Indianapolis a great place to live, work, and play. You know, billions of dollars of public and private investment have been made in the city, and we need to continue to grow the city, not do something that would detract in any way.
You think this could take away from investment in downtown, not only business, but the neighborhood?
Yes, I was in commercial real estate development and brokerage for 15 years, and I truly believe any public project of this size should add value to the area.
Mark, give us a couple of, we only have about a minute left, potential alternatives. Looking at depressing the interstate is one of the
so NDOT did a systems level analysis, looked at 7 different alternatives for what they could do with the North Split and the highway system moving into it. Anything from doing nothing to replacing existing right-of-way and infrastructure to expanding. But some of the more compelling alternatives are depressing the highway, capping it, putting the local streets on top like we see up in Hamilton County. That creates an opportunity to cap it, create public space, create development opportunities. Others are completely ripping out the highway and putting them in a boulevard. We got to be thinking about what impact that would have on our local streets, but we're encouraged that NDOT is exploring alternatives. All
right, public comment period is now ending. We'll have much more on this in the coming months, to be sure. Mark Fisher from the Indy Chamber, Bob Witt from Sun King Brewing Company. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Later in the podcast, a look at the $80 million Elevate Brownsburg project, and a youth golf program grows its reach. But now, the Alliance for a Healthier Indiana is touring the state through October to bring together local leaders to talk about how to combat the biggest health problems in the state. That includes tobacco use, infant mortality, opioids, and obesity. Community Health Network CEO Brian Mills and Indiana Chamber President Kevin Brenniger joined Barb Lewis in the Business of Health to talk about the State of Our Health Roadshow. Remember, you can catch Inside Indiana Business Television on stations throughout the state every weekend. Head to InsideIndianaBusiness.com to check listings. Still to come, growing the game of golf with kids, and Trendiana features the finest French food. But now, the first piece of an $80 million mixed-use development in downtown Brownsburg is now open. Elevate Brownsburg is a nearly $5 million project involving more than 100 office suites and a co-working space. Our Mary Rachel Redmond has more.
Thanks, Gary. Well, if you haven't been to downtown Brownsburg in a while, you may not recognize it. Town Council Vice President Brian Jessen took me on a tour of the downtown revitalization project that he says, once completed, will be upwards of $90 million.
It's been something we've been planning for many years and saving for at the same time, as this brought Brownsburg into the 21st century. We're also trying to create an atmosphere where, as millennials are graduating from high school and college, they've got a place to come and live. We don't want them necessarily to always leave town. We're always looking for places for them to come.
And the first step in that direction is the completion of Elevate Brownsburg, a 30,000 square foot two-story building with more than 100 office suites, conference rooms, and a co-working space.
I think it's going to bring out the best in Brownsburg that's already here. We're just tapping into the resources and creativity that are already here, but don't have that outlet within which to work. It certainly does kind of speak to that energetic, collaborative environment that I think will provide that young professional who's maybe getting out of college and thinking, do I come back to my hometown, or do I move on to another big city? These office suites are really cool because you're literally allowing people to get in there and realize their dreams. And so if I can walk in here and I see all those dreams happening, that's what I want to see. And we have to fit nicely into the overall vision that the town of Brownsburg has, and we're very excited about it. You're seeing all of the cranes and construction happening here right now. Imagine when that's all done and this is a walkable environment that people are able to both work in, live in, and play in. And we're very excited to be the very first step in that. It's a little painful as we emerge from the dust and debris, but we're hoping that this creativity and our artistic feel that we have here will be kind of a diamond in the rough for now and eventually be just kind of a fixture in the community.
Mary Rachel Redman, Inside Indiana Business.
Later in the podcast, a Paris-themed edition of Trendiana and perspective on the week's top stories from our panel of insiders. But now, the Indiana Golf Association's First Tee program has expanded to 17 Indiana communities, and its school program is now in more than 245 Hoosier elementary schools, reaching more than 80,000 students statewide. Indiana Golf Association Executive Director Mike David joined Bill Benner for Inside Indiana Sports.
It's good to be enjoying summertime and golf and the First Tee program. It's been around for a number of years under the IGA auspices for the last 6, but really growing at a very nice rate.
Yeah, we've had quite a bit of expansion in the 6 years that it's been under our foundation. I sometimes feel like we're running to keep up with it, but that's a good thing because we've moved into 17 different communities around the state and reaching 80,000 kids with First Tee programming.
And give people, for those who might not know, just give a brief overview of what the First Tee is all about.
Yeah, so the First Tee is basically a youth development program that happens to use golf as a method to pass along the 9 core values and the 9 healthy habits. We've always used teaching life lessons through the game of golf as kind of our motto with our foundation, because we ask the question, what other sport do you call penalties on yourself other than golf? Not very many. So golf really lends itself to teaching those life skills. The First Tee has a couple of different components. They have the certifying program, which is really similar to the Boy Scouts, and the goal is to achieve, obviously, Eagle Scout status in the Scout program. Well, in the First Tee, the goal is to achieve ACE status, and there are 5 different levels, and it can take a junior golfer, 4 to 8 years to accomplish it. It's not something that happens quickly. Then they also have what's called an outreach program. That's where the National School Program comes in, and we've been extremely successful with that program here in Indiana.
And the most important thing, golf is a game indeed for a lifetime with these core values intact.
No doubt. And that's, really the goal is to turn out quality people. We're also turning out what we think are be lifetime golfers, which is an important thing as well.
And in the cities too. I mean, this is not just a suburbia game.
We're in with our national school program. We're in 42 IPS schools. We're in South Bend schools. We're in Fort Wayne schools. So yeah, we want to bring the game to kids that otherwise may not have an opportunity to experience it. So not only are they getting an introduction in their PE classes, but then it's important for us to get them equipment and also find them courses workforce access, and that's all part of what we're doing with our program.
On another front, big USGA event coming to South Bend next year, the Senior Open. Last year in 2009, Fred Funk won at the Crooked Stick. So
yeah, exciting. Anytime we host a national event in Indiana, that's big news for us. And the Warren course is going to be a great host. And I know South Bend is a hotbed for golf, and they've got a lot of great golf courses up there and a lot of avid golfers. So we're excited to be part of that.
And your offices, long time been in Franklin, Indiana. Now you're looking for a move to the Indianapolis metro area.
Yeah, we made a decision about a year ago that as our camp numbers kind of dropped a little bit for multiple reasons, but our first tee numbers were increasing, we wanted to put more resources into what we were doing from a first tee standpoint. So having said that, we're in the process of selling our office in Franklin and trying to move to maybe a little more metro site. We'll see where we end up, but we've got some great opportunities so far, and we're excited about what that might bring.
And give me a brief summation as we wrap up. State of golf in Indiana.
You know, I think it's good overall, and I think you've seen a slight decline over the last few years, but we've leveled off, and the excitement is certainly there. Tiger being back doesn't hurt anything, so I think we're on the right path.
All right, well, Mike David, we appreciate it, and great congratulations on the first tee. That's really an important program.
Thanks, Bill. I appreciate it.
For Indiana
Thank
kids.
you very much.
Still to come, our panel of insiders weighs in on the top stories of the week. But first, Indianapolis made history last month with its first transatlantic nonstop flight to Paris. In that spirit, this month's Trendiana segment showcases some of the best French delicacies and cuisine that Indiana has to offer.
I should mention the nonstop to Paris really is a gateway to Europe,
Truly,
right?
yes. Once you get over to Paris, it's always easy in Europe to catch a train, another flight, and really connecting us to all of Europe.
Okay, a lot of tasty treats,
Yes.
French-inspired cuisine right here in Indiana.
Yes.
You've got a nice sampling from around the state. Let's begin in South Broad Ripple.
Yes,
right?
South Broad Ripple Gallery Pastry Shop.
Yep.
So this business is known for their brunches on the weekend. One of the top-rated brunch spots in all of Central Indiana. They are known for their crepes that are made to order. You can pick all of your local ingredients that are going to go into it. Very creative desserts that are made in the front, pastries. Their macarons that they even have a special edition out for Pride this month, doing all rainbow. So they're really creative and innovative and really pushing the limits of pastry arts.
Very good. Okay, from Indianapolis, we head south to Bloomington and La Vie in Rose Cafe.
Yeah, this is a new addition to Bloomington. Really typical bistro-style French spot. So people love that they have the loose-leaf teas, the cafe desserts, the pastries, the macarons, and they're known for their Belgian hot chocolate, which is supposed to be pretty delicious too.
Very good. You've got a great statewide sampling. We head east to Union City, your hometown,
Yes,
right?
that's right.
G. Slane Chocolatier, and you work there.
Yes, I did. That was a job in college. They are known for their chocolate arts, so they're doing hand-rolled truffles, the turtles, the pastries. They do a lot of fun corporate orders, so if you're wanting a logo on your chocolate, fun for businesses, and shipping it throughout the country. So,
All right, back here in central Indiana in Zionsville, Auberge at Brick Street Inn.
Yes, the Yelp reviews are loving this business for the atmosphere that you feel there. It's very cozy. They've got a patio overlooking Main Street. And one of the other things that they're known for is true, authentic French dishes. So beef bourguignon, an extensive wine menu, great spot.
Amazing the number of restaurants you have on the list here. You go to Lafayette and Bistro 501.
Yeah, Bistro 501, another great addition to Lafayette. They're really using authentic ingredients, changing the menu seasonally. So every time you come back, you're going to find something new.
All right, back in Indianapolis now, 3 days in Paris.
Yes, right in the heart of City Market downtown, and they actually can come to your events with a crepe station, so they're filling them with savory ingredients, sweet. They're known for their bacon date combo. They're very delicious.
Very good. We also have on the list part of the Martha Hoover Empire in Broad Ripple, Petite Choux Bistro and Champagne Bar.
Yeah, this spot along the canal is great for people who love champagne. You can go in, very intimate atmosphere, ordering brunch, lunch, and dinner, but also it's those champagne cocktails that people love.
Oh, yeah. And as we wrap up, interesting in Mooresville, Willowfield Lavender.
Yes, France is known for their lavender seasons, and this particular location has over 40 acres of lavender fields, over 1,000 plants. You can tour the lavender fields, see the soaps and other options that they're making right there in their shop.
Interesting tour of the French-inspired cuisine and lots of very tasty treats as well from around the state. Brittany Smith, as always, thank you.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon. All right.
And finally this week, our panel of insiders offers perspective on the week's top stories. Our panel includes Bose Public Affairs Group Principal Roger Harvey, Short Strategy Group Chairman and CEO Frank Short, and Hathaway Strategies President Ann Hathaway.
We begin with our top story this week, and Frank will start with you, the remaking, if you will, of I-65, I-70, split in downtown Indianapolis, 40 to 50 years old, it's decaying, bridges are falling apart, needs to be fixed. There's big budding controversy, let's say, about how to do it. Do you add lanes? Businesses or coalition that's opposed to adding the lanes and putting up barriers. Much to do about nothing, or is this a critically important decision?
Well, I think it's the main thoroughfare through town. The question becomes, what are the options? And I don't think anybody knows that yet. I think when you look at it, do you make them go, if you're going through town from 465 on the north to 465 on the east, you make them go around 465. I think you have to take into consideration that this generation of new drivers is much different than the people sitting at this table. They don't all have cars. They're looking for public transportation. You don't need people in cars, so it'll be smaller, autonomous cars will be fine. But I think there's a lot of options, and I went to a presentation this week, and I don't know anybody knows what they're going to do yet. But, people live in those downtown neighborhoods where it cuts through, they're concerned, It could be a big change in their lifestyle, and I'm not sure everybody's for that. So we don't have all the information yet, but I think it's a process that's starting. It's going to take 5, 6, 7 years to do anyway.
Is this, Ann, Frank mentioned the neighborhoods. There's been a lot of reinvestment into older neighborhoods that have now the vibrancy and coming back. Concern that the decision is made could maybe stymie that, stop that.
Sure, but I think INDOT has really worked hard to work with the neighborhoods, to talk to people. This is trying to be a transparent process. One of the most important things about this whole deal is that this is a safety issue. There's over 300 accidents, 250 serious accidents every year here. And so we've got to take safety into account. We've got to take the neighborhoods into account. We have to take the future. What do the vehicles of the future look like as we talk and think about this? And to Frank's point, this is a major thoroughfare, and we've got to make sure we do it right.
Yep. Another major thoroughfare, I-69 in southwest Indiana, the connection between Evansville and ultimately Indianapolis. Roger, there was a summit this week. The Indiana Chamber had it, privatization type summit, talking about finishing off I-69. So, Ann, you were saying what? August 31 is now the targeted date for Bloomington to Martinsville.
Right.
What about that next leg, Martinsville to Indianapolis?
Well, they saved the fun part for last.
Right?
But when you look at the growth that's happened along, when you go back to when it was that first stretch was unveiled when Mitch Daniels was governor, and you see the situation where as more and more miles are done, the feedback from the folks that travel that stretch, and I'm one of those people, boy, it sure is nice that you don't have to take. So I think they're going to get there. It's really going to get into the details, and I think that's going to be where there's probably going to have to spend a little more time on figuring out how does that actually make its way to get fully connected. But it's going to happen. Speaking of connectivity, roads do that, interstates do that, and also flights. And Indianapolis International just landed another nonstop. I think important, more than 50 nonstops now, which I think is an all-time record for the airport. But this new Frontier route to San Diego is another. It's year-round, daily nonstop to what is a biosciences, life sciences hotbed.
It's exciting, and we've talked about this before on the show. These flights, more people are coming to Indianapolis to work, to play. Indianapolis continues to attract these flights so that people can come see what we're doing here. And these business relationships for the medical device industry, for the biosciences, this is good stuff. I mean, we're in a hotbed.
And part of the attraction to some of these the airlines is the airport. Continually ranked as the top in North America.
Top airport in North America. Last year 28 million people came to Indiana, not just for business but for conventions. And the hardest part for us attracting conventions has always been the West Coast draw. So this is important that it's a West Coast flight. I think Mario and his team out there keep doing a great job adding those flights. So Ann's right. Our airport is a big draw. It's the first post 9/11 airport built in this country, and that's a big draw. And I think it helps. People that come here talk about the airport all the time. It's easy to get to, easy to get in and out of. But again, I think to your point, it's a tech city again, which is important. But I think even more important, it's a West Coast flight, and we need that West Coast connection for our convention business.
In economic development news this week, really probably the big news, the big deal announced was Rockwell Automation, a company, a parts supplier, moving operations actually from existing facilities in Champaign, Illinois and Memphis, Tennessee to a distribution center in Whitestown and Boone County. 230 jobs they say they may create over the next 5 years. And this is just the latest announcement in Boone County, and in particular, Roger, Whitestown, a once sleepy little town, I guess that's now.
Oh, that's exactly right. I mean, Boone County in general is really making a lot of waves as it relates to economic development and also residential development. But in particular with Whitestown, when you look at this announcement, and then 4 or 6 weeks ago, you had a medical device manufacturer announce they're coming in with a very large, significant multi-million-dollar project, and then you have the IU School of Business come out and say, for the 7th year. Right. Whitestown's the fastest growing community. So, Dax Norton, the town manager there, and his folks are doing a great job. And oh, by the way, there's a large Amazon presence there too, in Whitestown too. So,
in case they want to add some more Amazon presence to the city.
But it really is a great story. What's happening up there, and they've done a great job too of planning and being prepared for it.
Also this week, news of a major investment, the creation of the Vera Bradley Foundation Center for Breast Cancer Research at the IU Medical Center here in downtown Indianapolis. It will include a 30-member team from the IU School of Medicine. And I think what is noteworthy, among other things of this, is the Vera Bradley Foundation and Pat Miller and Barbara Backgard. They've raised nearly, for IU, the IU School of Medicine, cancer research, nearly $40 million over the years.
So it's awesome that this is in Indiana, and every dollar of research is a dollar we're closer to a cure. And, such credit to these women for reinvesting and helping other women to find this cure. It's exciting.
Yeah. Great philanthropy, no doubt about it. And in terms of fundraising, Ivy Tech continues to kind of make headlines in the community college world. The foundation, I think multiple years, has been the top foundation for raising money, $16.4 million in 2017.
Jack Murphy's done a great job at Ivy Tech. I think Sue's doing a great job as the new president. What they've done in the last 5 years is doubled what they did the previous 5 years. I think they got a good board. With other campuses around the state, they have the whole state engaged. Dan's last point about philanthropy. Indiana's a great place for philanthropy. Whether it's education, whether it's medical research, whatever. I think Hoosiers care, and that matters a lot. And this is a great example of it.
And I would just add on that too. What's interesting about that foundation, each one of the 19 campuses has their own unique challenges and what they need, whether it's faculty or capital investment. But overarching, a considerable amount of that money goes to scholarships. Yep. And so when you look at the workforce development issue that the state is, tackling right now, being able to offer these scholarships to get people in the door so that they can earn a degree, and then whether they continue on to a 4-year or they go right on and move into the workplace, they're actually bettering themselves, and that overall helps the state in general. The fact that we're helping to educate these people that may not have been able to get that education.
Yeah, it's a great point. Only have 20 seconds. Like to end on sports. Oliver Luck leaving the NCAA, going to be the commissioner of the newly launched XFL. Frank?
Who wouldn't want to work for Vince McMahon? What can you say?
Oliver Luck and Vince McMahon, right?
It's a pair made in heaven. I can see it now.
Very good. We'll end on that note. Frank Short, Ann Hathaway, Roger Harvey, thank you one and all.
That wraps up this week's Inside Indiana Business television podcast. Remember, you can find all of this week's TV segments, as well as the top business news from throughout the state, at InsideIndianaBusiness.com. While you're there, you can also subscribe to our platform of free e-newsletters. This is Andy Ober for Inside Indiana Business.